Hello, and welcome back to Kylie's Bookworks. Today I'm going to be running you through my May wrap-up. Before I get started, just remember there are important links down below for Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, and Help Indigenous Peoples, if you could please check those out. Also, I'm now on Readerly, which I'm sure you've probably heard me say about a million times over my past couple of videos, but that's also linked down below with my Goodreads. So this month was honestly really long, and I'm looking at like the books I read in the beginning of May, and I barely remember reading them, to be completely honest. So this is gonna be fun. This month I read 29 books, which is completely unlike me. I think my big motivator was that I was very behind on my Goodreads reading goal, and it was sort of stressing me out. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have to read. So then I ended up reading a lot, and a lot of it was because I read the Heartstopper graphic novels, and then I read the Shatter series, and I think there's like 5 novellas that are like 60 pages that I just like, those really helped. So that's where I'm at, so I'm gonna go right into it. So the first book I read was Loveless by Alice Oseman, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. I really enjoyed her books so far, and I really liked Loveless. I thought it was really fun, and I really saw a lot of myself in the main character, and it was really fun just being seen like that. Next, I read Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, which was a reread, and I'll have a Six of Crows series review out soon, so look out for that. Next I read A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, which is the second book in the Blood of Ash and Fire series by Jennifer L. Armentrout or something. To be completely honest with you, I hated the book, and the fact that I'm still reading this series I think is just a testament to my inability to put down a series, which is the same thing that happened with Shatter, but we'll get into that in a second. So, Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, I also read the sequel, or the third book in the series, The Crown of Gilded Bones. I still have no clue what's going on with that plot. I mean, the background and the history, like, sort of keeps changing, like, literally all the time. And then the plot, I still have no clue what's going on with the plot. And there's all these, like, terms that are specific to her world building that I still have no clue what they mean. So, yeah. There's supposed to be 6 books in that series. So far, only 3 have been released, and basically nothing has happened. So those last 3, if I probably will end up reading them, but I hope they're better. Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. I read that. That was, I think, a recommendation from someone. I can't remember. It was okay. It was advertised as like a series of like essays on certain things, but to me it felt more like a personal memoir, and so I think that it just sort of missed the mark on what it was trying to say, I guess. Next, I read A Court of Thorn and Roses, something I really regret reading. I originally in the 8th grade read, I think, like the first half of the book, and I was like, this is, I didn't like it. The big problem with it is that it's very like white feminist, to the sense where, you know, also like the women are only liberated in the sense that they are given power by men. And so that's what I've also heard goes on in the later series. And there's also such a lack of diversity and representation, and I've heard that when there is some in the later series, it's terribly done and it's very tokenized, and yeah, I absolutely hated the book. So I gave it a second try. I have had multiple people be like, oh my gosh, I love it. And I'm like, no. Next, I read the whole entire Shatter series, which I think is 10 books, I think. Because there's Shatter Me, Destroy Me, Unravel Me, Fracture Me, Ignite Me, Restore Me, Shadow Me, Defy Me, Imagine Me, Reveal Me. Yeah, that's 10. So it's 6 books and 4 novellas, and I believe the original 3 books were only supposed to be that series, and then I think a couple years later the author decided to add another 3. So, I had huge problems with the plot, and the relationship, and then everything was like up in the air all the time, and like the background and the plot kept changing like constantly. So it was like an enjoyable read in the sense that it was very nostalgic for like 2014 dystopian novels. But if I'm being critical of it, there was a lot wrong with it. But I think reading it, it was just sort of a fun read. I also read Because You Love to Hate Me, 13 Tales of Villainy, which if you don't know what it is, it's sort of like an anthology of 13 authors who are given prompts and they write little short stories that are like enemies to lovers or something. It was okay. I think my big problem with short stories is that there isn't a lot of time to actually develop things like characters or plot or like setting. And so that was my big problem with it, is that a lot of these tales missed the mark. There was a really good one about death. I think it was by V.E. Schwab, but I can't completely remember. But that one was my favorite one. Next, I did reread The Shadows Between Us because I got sad and that's my comfort read. So, I think that book though, like I watched somebody else's review on it. I don't remember who, I'm sorry. But I guess I liked seeing her critical analysis of the book compared, like, for me it was just a comfort read, but I think being able to recognize a book as a comfort read and understand its sort of problematic bits is very important. So I guess I learned a lot more about the book and just sort of some of the problematic parts, especially with like the monarchy, and then, you know, there's just some things in there that just I didn't realize were bad until somebody actually told me about it. But I'm glad that I know that now. So, next I also read Saints and Misfits by, I think it's S.K. Ali, I believe. That one was really good. I really enjoyed that book. I thought it was really sweet, and it's just sort of like following the story of this girl who is Muslim and just sort of her troubles in high school and being pulled away from her faith and like struggling with it, and then just like struggling with the fact that like she's a sexual assault survivor and just sort of things like that. And I thought it was really sweet and I really enjoyed reading it. Next I read A Touch of Ruin, which is the Hades and Persephone retelling. It's the second book, and I did in fact absolutely hate it. And it's another one of those series where the fact that I'm reading it is I just can't like stop reading things unless it's A Court of Thorns and Roses. But I think I'm just enjoying it in the sense that it's a Greek mythology retelling, and so it's feeding the lack of Percy Jackson content. It was okay. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I had a lot of problems with it, but then I read the third book, A Touch of Malice, and it actually picked up a little bit, and I felt like it got a little better, but at the end of the day, it's still pretty bad. Next, I read all of the Heartstopper graphic novels, and they were absolutely great, and I loved them. There is 4 volumes out right now. There's supposed to be a 5th one out eventually. Don't know when, but I was really excited to read those. They just sort of made me smile, and I thought it was just really fun to see that. Next, I read The Language of Thorns, Midnight Tales and Dangerous Magic by Leigh Bardugo, which is a Grishaverse sort of like novella, and I think it's a retelling of like fairy tales from our world with Grishaverse twists to them. So, like Hansel and Gretel, that was one of them. There was a Little Mermaid one, which honestly, I sort of think Little Mermaid retellings are like overdone. There's too many of them. I've read too many of them. So, it was cute, and I liked it overall. Next, I also reread The Cruel Prince because I'm going to do a series on the Folk of the Air series, a review on the Folk of the Air series. So once I actually finish Wicked King and Queen of Nothing, I'll put that out. And lastly, I read She Drives Me Crazy, which is a short little standalone about this girl in high school and sort of just her love life and like what's going on with her. And I thought it was really sweet and I really enjoyed it. So those are my 29 books that I have read this month. It's been a little chaotic, but I was really excited to read, and I felt like I actually had fun reading because I sped through so many series that quickly. But yeah, so anyways, I hope you all have a good June, and I will see you for my next video.